Good morning. We're having a bit of a dilemma with the PowerPoint at the moment because, have we got it? No, we haven't got it, okay. So I did have a PowerPoint for one of the first times ever, and then I was very pleased with myself because I added it on the system right. Turns out it's at Southbourne. So, yeah, can't quite work out how to move it across. So if anyone knows how to do that, please go and give poor Hudson a helping hand. So there is no PowerPoint, there is no scripture up there, so you're just going to have to go and use your Bibles instead. Goodness me. So yeah, it's the right, that's good. At least it's the right title page, so that's good. And I have got props, so you'll see that a little bit later, so very exciting. Okay, and hopefully the mic stays okay as well, because apparently these mics don't like long hair, so, sexist mics and all that, so I apologize if I have to shift it a little bit. It's been a morning, guys. Okay, so I'm going to start a famous line, and I'd like you to finish it for me. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Yay, I was really worried no one would actually know what that was. So I imagine most of you did recognize that line, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? It's from the story of Snow White. And honestly, I've always hated that story, as I just think Snow White, she didn't help herself really, did she? It's like common sense, don't accept food from random creepy old women who try and give it to you, who try and force it upon you. And I was always that annoying child in the pantomime who, when Snow White said, "Shall I eat the apple, boys and girls?" said, "Yes, go on, you stupid woman." So thankfully the person I want to mention today isn't Snow White, it's actually the evil queen. And every day the queen would stand in front of her mirror and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And as long as the mirror answered back, "You are the fairest, my queen," she was happy, she was content, she was secure. But the moment it didn't, the moment it said that Snow White was more beautiful, her world fell apart. Her entire sense of worth was shattered in a single sentence. Why? Because her value depended on her reflection. The mirror was her measure, it was her source of identity, her validation, and her approval. And the truth is, that's not just a fairy tale, that's us. And we may not have a talking mirror or go around hiring huntsmen to kill everyone who's hotter than us, but if we're honest, we do the same thing as the queen in our hearts. We measure our worth by what others reflect back to us, their opinions, their approval, their applause. And when our identity depends on that reflection, it starts to warp who we are. That's what happens when approval becomes our idol. So today, as we continue our series on idols, we are looking at the idol of approval and how when approval defines you, it distorts you. Got it to work. Great. Timothy Keller, a Christian author and speaker, said, "Idolatry is always the reason we ever do anything wrong. Why do we fail to love or keep promises or live unselfishly? Of course, the general answer is because we are weak and sinful. But the specific answer in any actual circumstance is that there is something you feel you must have or do to be happy, something that is more important to your heart than God himself." Idolatry isn't about big statues or little idols in the living room. It's not just about obvious sins. It's anything we look to for our ultimate satisfaction instead of God. And the idol of approval is a subtle idol that filters into every area of our lives. And there is a tension here because our desire for approval isn't completely wrong. Humans are wired for connection and affirmation. We were created to live in community. And the Bible's really clear that we should encourage, affirm, and love one another. We were meant to provide and accept loving criticism and loving encouragement from one another. It's a good thing. But in today's world, that natural desire for affirmation can easily turn into an obsession and something that we root our identity in. We live in a culture where validation has become a form of currency, where likes and follow accounts feel like a measure of our worth. And when the approval doesn't come, it's easy to wonder whether what we do or who we are really matters. Madonna once said, "I have an iron will, and all of my will has always been to conquer some horrible feeling of inadequacy. I push past one spell of it and discover myself as a special human being, and then I get to another stage and think I'm mediocre and uninteresting, again and again. My drive in life is from this horrible fear of being mediocre, and that's always pushing me. Because even though I've become somebody, I still have to prove that I'm somebody. My struggle has never ended, and it probably never will." For Madonna, who is one of the most successful singers of our time, approval from success functions like a drug. It gives her a fleeting sense of worth and significance, but as soon as that high fades, she's compelled to chase it again. Her motivation isn't rooted in joy of what she's doing, it's rooted in fear. It's a restless, unrelenting need to prove herself. It's an addiction to validation. And there's a Christian artist called Lecrae who refers to this need for validation as a cage. In his song, Free From It All, he writes, "Life is a cage, a prison of everyone's approval. You fight for acceptance and struggle so you don't ever lose it. No grace and no exceptions, all they want is perfection. If you live for their acceptance, you die from their rejection." And that's such a great line. If you live for their acceptance, you will die from their rejection. And in this song, he talks about the weight of living for other people's applause and the emptiness that it can bring. But his primary overarching message in the song is to point out that the freedom that comes when you finally realize your worth isn't defined by what others think, by what God says about you. That when you're in that place, when you truly understand that, you can be free from it all. Because when you truly know you are already loved, accepted, and approved by your Creator, you can finally stop performing and start living, and you can find rest for your souls. And that's exactly what the psalmist King David discovered. In Psalm 62, he writes from a place of difficulty and rejection. And in this place, David reminds his own soul where true peace and security are found. If you've got a Bible, please turn to Psalm 62, verses 1 to 8. And it should come up on the screen as well, hopefully. Great. "Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down? This leaning wall, this tottering fence, surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They delight in lies, with their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be greatly shaken. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock and my refuge. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge." And from reading, if you've ever read 1 and 2 Samuel and the Psalms, it's clear that David's life was far from easy. And that's one of the things I love about the Psalms is how raw and honest they are. David never sugarcoated his struggles or pretended that everything was okay. He spoke openly to God about his fear of rejection and actual rejection and his needs around that. And it's a comfort to know that even a man described as a man after God's own heart wrestled with fear, pressure, and a need for approval. And that struggle is something that we all understand. We all carry the invisible weight of craving approval. We live under constant pressure, which is made so much worse by social media, to be enough, to impress, to fit someone else's definition of what worth is. We want to be seen as beautiful, capable, spiritual, strong. But the more we live for the approval of others, the heavier that invisible burden becomes. And it's not easy to stop letting what people think form our identity. It hurts when people are unkind, or we feel like we're not good enough. And it's so important to bring these things to God, to let him heal us and remind us of who we are and who he says we are. And although I've struggled with this idol of approval in a number of ways, the hardest part for me has been being neurospicy or neurodiverse. Growing up, I often didn't feel normal. I would watch others interact and wonder why being around others came so easily to them. I tried hard to fit in, to mask, to copy, to pretend, but I was often told I was too much, I was too intense. I often say the wrong thing unintentionally, offending others, or I say too much. I get overwhelmed and can struggle in certain social situations, leading to people thinking I'm rude or aloof. I've wished many times to be someone else, to have God remove this part of me, so that I wouldn't have to work so hard to feel normal and like everyone else. Unfortunately, as I've got older, I found it easier to accept who I am. I'm blessed with great friends and a wonderful family who accept me and love me for who I am, and on occasion whisper, "You can't say that," with a helpful explanation as to why. And in the moments I've felt misunderstood or rejected, Psalms like this one have grounded me. When David says, "My salvation and my honor depend on God," it reminds me that my worth isn't up for debate. It's already determined by the one who created me, and he really likes me the way I am. After all, he created me, he formed me in my mother's womb, and he doesn't make mistakes. And in the end, the only way to get free from an idol is to realize that there is something better, something infinitely greater, more satisfying, and more reliable than the fleeting approval of others. The need for approval can feel like a heavy weight on our souls. It's a weight that comes from constantly measuring ourselves against other people's standards, trying to perform, impress, or fit into molds that were never meant for us. And the more we chase this need, the more exhausted we become. So I thought it might be helpful to do a visual demonstration of how pursuing the idol of approval can leave us feeling exhausted. And each prop represents a different way we might try to earn approval. And as I walk through them, I want to invite you to reflect, where might this be applicable to you? Sorry, Hannah started walking up like, just to join everyone. So I've got Hannah to do this. So we've not practiced this, so please bear with us. See how it goes. So, okay, first of all, this is a very crumpled coat of conformity. It's the pressure to fit in. You put the other side. We blend in to belong, echoing what others say, shaping our opinions to match the crowd, too afraid to stand out or speak truth. In doing so, we can lose who we really are. This bag represents achievement and success. Working hard and pursuing excellence is good, but if your success were taken from you today, would it devastate you? Would it destroy you? Because if it would, it's worth asking, have you built your identity on the approval that comes from success? This mask represents physical beauty. Do you want to put it on? There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good or caring about taking care of ourselves. But when how we start to look defines how we feel about, you're really creepy. I didn't think this through at all. When how you look starts to define how you feel about yourself, when you can't stand looking in the mirror, or you look in the mirror too much, constantly turn around. Serious. moment, guys. If you're constantly worrying about your physical appearance, that's a form of captivity. This dumbbell represents a physical image. I chose a light one for you. We live in a world that's constantly whispering, be thinner, be stronger, be better. And being healthy is good, looking at ourselves is good, but when our sense of worth depends on the weight on the scale or whether our abs are showing through yet, that's a form of spiritual captivity. Oh, tangled. This heart represents romantic approval, the need to be loved and not be alone for fear of being thought of as less than, or constantly looking to your other half for affirmation and identity. Romantic love is a beautiful gift, but when we look to someone else to make us feel complete, we're worshipping an idol. This represents family expectations. Living up to the standards of our nearest and dearest. Maybe you've always lived under the pressure of don't disappoint us, make us proud. And even if no one says it out loud, you feel it every day. But God didn't create you to perform for your family's approval. He created you to walk in his purposes. This represents, it's going to be fun for you now, can you hold in that arm? Religious performance. Trying to earn God's approval, serving, attending all the meetings, all good things. But when your relationship with God becomes a checklist rather than a connection, and you care more about what people in the church think of you, you've missed his heart. You don't have to earn his love, you've already got it. Finally, these chains, which ideally would go around both your hands, but that's not going to happen, represent the control and perfectionism we live out of in order to gain the approval we crave. We want to be in charge of our image, our outcomes, our success. But the tighter that we hold on to these things, the heavier these burdens become. Because having to maintain absolute control over our lives is a burden we were never designed to carry. And though many of these things are good things, they're pleasing our families, beauty, success, they're not necessarily wrong in themselves. They're often good things from God. But somewhere along the way, we can let these things start to inform who we are and define us. And when those things fade or fail, when we don't do well in those different areas, we're left feeling exhausted, empty, and unsure of who we are anymore. And like Madonna, we have to chase a high. We get a fix. We're happy, we're on top of the world. Then we get criticism, we drop. We live by the acceptance of others, we die by their rejection. And it's in that very place of weariness where striving meets soul tiredness that Jesus speaks, where he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. And learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Or, as David put it, trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. Jesus wants to take these burdens off us and replace them with, amongst other blessings, his love, his acceptance, his peace, and his rest. Only when we submit our need for approval for other avenues and accept that God's approval is all we need, only then can we breathe freely again. God is our refuge, our hope, and in him we can find rest for our souls. Human words, praise or criticism come and go, but God's steadfast love and his acceptance of us is unshakable. In him we can trust and build our lives and identity upon, because he will not change or leave us. He's not asking us to perform for him. He's inviting us to rest in him. You can go now. Thank you. So maybe today the call isn't to try harder, but to let go, to trade every burden we've been carrying for the lightness of his love. Only when we root our identity in him can we finally walk free. Free from the endless noise of comparison, expectation, and performance. Free to rest, to breathe, to simply be. Are you tired? Are you tired of trying to earn the approval of man, of society? Are you tired of trying to look the part, perfect weight, perfect hair, perfect outfit? Are you tired of needing the well done from your boss or your teacher or your parents, feeling completely crushed when it doesn't come? Do you, like David, need to speak to your soul and say, find rest in God? And this is what God is offering, rest for your soul. So I'd like us to stand and do 3 things. Firstly, consider what I've been saying today and name to yourself the area of approval that you've made your idol and put your identity in. And it might be more than one area. Second, repent of putting these things above what God thinks of you and lay it down at his feet. Finally, recognize that he is kind and loving and ask for his help in moving forward with this. Say, God, I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of performing. Teach me to rest in you. Because when you lay down the idols of approval and come to him, you'll find what you've been searching for all along. Not approval, but peace. Not applause, but belonging. Not performance, but his presence. Your soul will find rest in God alone. And I'd like to ask the prayer team to come forward. I think this is a really important thing for us to deal with God. If you know that any of those things apply to you, please do come forward and get prayer and find that rest for your souls. Find that place where you can let go of feeling weary and burdened by everyone's opinions, and just find peace in knowing that you are loved and accepted as you are.